Hello, everybody, and welcome to Right from the Kickoff with your host Joe Wright and co-host William Bayliss. How you doing, Will?
Yeah, not too bad. It's weird being in this international break, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is, mate. I think I genuinely hate football at this time of year because it's just you get into a few weeks into the new season, you're all hyped up for it, and then they're like, "No, I tell you what, let's stick on England versus Andorra. That's really competitive and doesn't put you to sleep." But we'll get onto that in a short while, of course. Just want to say very quickly that obviously thank you for watching, everyone. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and um, TikTok. What I would say is we have had a little bit of an influx of subscribers, so thank you to everybody who is watching and supporting the channel. We really do appreciate it, don't we, Will?
We do indeed. And if you agree or disagree, let us know down below because we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Right, so let's get into it. My first question to you, my friend, is surrounding Forest. Obviously, we've talked about West Ham a little bit off air. What was your opinion of the game? But more importantly, what are the implications going forward for the season? Because it's a bit concerning, is it not?
Um, yes and no. In some ways, it was out of the blue that performance because we looked really disconnected, and you could say, "Oh, it's because of all the troubles and like arguments off the pitch," but that was still going on for the first two games of the season, and we demolished Brentford, which was a really good game, and we should have beat a really good Crystal Palace side. And going into the game, West Ham obviously had a really bad prior start to the season, and we thought, oh, they're doomed. But we let them go into them. We let them have that confidence, and they could smell that blood. And they, I told you off air, it's like 7 minutes of madness. Those three goals towards the
Yeah,
end. It just wasn't good enough, and I think the players after the game really knew that as well. Like as a
yeah.
professional,
I
you know
mean,
when you've messed up. Did you watch the game, Joe?
yeah, I did. So I was obviously doing a watch along for the channel on TikTok, and I have to say that I actually think Forest played pretty well for the first 50 to 60 minutes. In terms of controlling the game, wasn't any significant chances. I mean, Chris Wood had a header that he should have maybe done better with, but it was a very much half chance.
Hmm.
I do think that the change for me, and I remember saying this to you off air, I think Sensio Somerville for me changed the game. Ran at the defence, caused you some real problems going forward, which I didn't think West Ham had before then. Obviously, Jared Bowen was trying his best, but yeah, Sensio Somerville for me changed the game.
Yeah, he did play well, but we let him. Like we had three chances to clear the ball, and we just didn't do that for the first goal, and that's when the floodgates opened. Yes, they were playing better then, but it just was very frustrating to watch. But fair play to West Ham because we didn't have that many chances prior to that. They sat back and frustrated us, and I think that was part of the problem. They grated us down, and then they got us while we were weak, like the old Simpsons episode where Homer started boxing and then wore them down, and then it
Yeah,
just had them
that's a
pushed
great
over.
analogy. That's a
That's
great
what it felt
analogy.
like. Um, but yeah, if we were on form, we would have found a way to win that. But we didn't, and we didn't deserve to win that. And hopefully, we can bounce back. The international break probably come at a bad time because you can't bounce back of it. They've had 2 weeks to.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
just,
if it was
it
like
just,
another game midweek or the week after, you could have just bounced back straight away. But
yeah.
when these things linger,
Just while we're on the international break, just going to talk about Nuno and Edu a second, and obviously Marinakis. What's your thoughts on the situation regarding all of that? Because I've got to be honest, from an outside fan's point of view, I'm very vocal on my feelings of Marinakis. Obviously, since we've started this page and we've kind of ramped it up, you know my feelings on that. But what is your opinion as a Voice fan? From an outside point of view, it just all seems a bit nuts, to be honest.
yeah, well, I like to caveat that we don't know the full story, and we never will,
No.
because these things are very internal. We only hear what little drips and drabs. Um, one thing for sure, that result probably wouldn't have helped things in these peace talks, which has supposedly happened or about to happen. Um, but I think it's down to Nuno and Edu to sort it out. I don't actually think Marinakis is like, yes, he's in the middle of it, but by the sounds of it, it sounds like it's between Nuno and Edu to sort things out.
I'd agree. Yeah, yeah, I would agree.
Obviously he came in and like the head of global sport or whatever his title was, and bring in signings, and it seems like Nuno likes things in a certain way, and I think he's frustrated by the lack of communication.
Well,
And
it's
communication
reported.
is always important.
Yeah, of course it is. It's reported, isn't it, that Edu was the one who pushed for the signing of Douglas Luiz, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but Nuno wanted to bring in Traore. Edu's apparently blocked that, and then of course,
I think that's the thing. Apparently, we don't know. It's
yeah.
just
But
the word on the street.
look. I'm gonna use a phrase that you like to use a lot, which is "there's no smoke without fire." Okay, and I do think that more often than not, like let's be honest, 60% to 70% of the time, these kind of reports are often true. I do think that I don't think it is Marinakis' issue, but I think he
But
knows that.
at the same time, it is because he did bring both those gentlemen in. So in
Yeah,
a
no,
way,
of course.
as
I
a
was
head, you always have it. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, no, but I was going to say that I think it ultimately the book stops with him, doesn't it? So I do agree.
Mm.
Okay, now moving on. I just want to ask you, mate, international football, considering we're smack bang in the middle of an international break or 6 days away from football kind of restarting again, what's your opinion on international football? Because I've certainly got my opinions on it. And obviously, England played on Saturday at 5 o'clock against Andorra. And I've got to be honest, mate, I was more interested in the Women's World Cup rugby than I was the football
That was
because
a
it was,
great game. I was watching
yeah,
both at the same time, to be fair.
yeah, yeah, so was
Um,
I.
but
Um,
what I would say is that it has to be done. It's the World Cup next year. Um, how can you avoid it? You can't be elitist and say you don't want to play these smaller nations because that's not fair enough. They
no, that's
deserve a
not.
chance as much as what I do. So, explain what you mean because it's still
Exactly.
for
Okay, so
qualification. It's not a friendly,
so
and
yeah, but no, but it is. It's a glorified friendly. We knew England were going to win it.
but but
Okay,
but,
and that's
but
no,
it's
no, no,
not.
no, no. You've asked me the question, so I'm going to answer the question. Okay, so what I'm going to say is I do think there is a place for Andorra and teams like that, minnows as we want to call them, coming in and playing because they have improved over the last 10, 15 years. We know this because they're getting to play these bigger oppositions. My issue isn't really with Andorra. My issue is with the Premier League and league football in general starting up again, and we're all excited for it. It's like major event of the year. We've had sort of 3 months off from it. We're all excited, and then they've got about three international breaks before Christmas, and then obviously you've got the one in March. Now, for me, it just makes the season feel so stop-start. And I don't know whether
But
we need
what's the
that many
solution then?
international
I don't
breaks.
think there is a solution in this. I think there's all of these more tournaments across the board. The World Cup's always been there. The Euros have always been there for as long as we've been alive, obviously longer than that.
Yeah,
But
but you don't need tournaments like the Nations League. It's a pointless tournament. It's an absolute pointless tournament. There is no jeopardy in it really for me. You know what I
but
mean?
but but that's the point.
They're flooding international games. Is what I'm saying. You don't need.
But
They added that tournament 2 years ago. It's completely pointless.
the one thing that I would say about the Nations League is that they did that to replace the friendlies to make the games more competitive. So in terms of national games, there's not actually more unless you get to the final four. Um, so I actually like the Nations League in terms of making it more competitive in terms of just a normal friendly. And and the thing about the Nations League is you play teams of your similar ability, so it's more competitive. So it's going to be a better game.
I
That's
I
thing.
mean, I didn't
So
realise
so
that you
you
were.
play less of those minnows.
Yeah, but I didn't realise that you were interviewing for a job for the FA. Will you sound very Gareth Southgate esque, to be honest with you?
Well,
But
he's
no,
doing a lot better than Tuchel.
oh yeah, I mean, oh my God, his football is so boring, mate. Honestly, like I thought we
The,
couldn't get any worse.
the
Under
one thing I would say about Tuchel is that he's only had like 4 games, and yes, they haven't been great 4 games, but
they've
we
been
still need to give
dire.
them
They've
time.
been dire, mate. Not great. They've been absolutely appalling. But
We have to give them until at least the World Cup. If I mean, we will qualify out this group, but let's give them till the World Cup, and then we can decide.
yeah, I mean, to be honest, he's been brought in to win the World Cup, so he's kind of
Oh.
failure or success is going to be based on that, isn't it? It's not going to be
Mm.
based on these pointless qualifiers. Um,
So, Joe, let's get back to it. What's the solution then with these playing all these
Look,
international
I
games?
I just think there's got to be a
Because
better system than the amount that they're asking these players to play. Okay, what I mean is, and I don't particularly want Andorra to be shunned away from these games because I agree. I think it's good for them, but it's almost for me personally. I would make it so it's you play each other everybody once.
But then you
Everybody
get the
once.
whole thing. There's a lot of issues with that because who will play home and away? If you're
Yeah,
playing
no, but
England,
you
the
no,
bigger
but
teams, you would want to play
But
at
no, but the
home,
way
so
the
you get
way
the more
the way
money.
the way you would work it is like a Six Nations situation. So if you go into a a campaign in terms of like you've got a situation where you play say you played 5 games, right? And you played 2 of them at home and 3 of them away. The next time you were to play in that tournament or the qualifiers, it would be reversed.
No, but that wouldn't make any sense logistically. Sorry, Joe,
Now, how
because
would it not? How
in
would it not?
uh,
Explain to me why it would not.
because in the Six Nations, you're always playing the same teams. In these
No,
international
but
Nations League, you're not always
you
playing the same game. So,
misunderstand. No,
Joe, let me explain then. So, if you have different teams, it's not always going to be fair because it might not be logistically possible if you're always playing different teams to say, okay, but we want to play 3 games this at home this time. It's just not fair, and who would be? It would just
no,
get too complicated. It will
no,
get too
no. It
complicated.
wouldn't. No, it wouldn't at all. It's so simple to do. You
No, it's not,
literally
Joe, because
right.
you're always
No, no,
playing
no, no,
different
no,
teams.
no. Let me answer. Right. You get a set of teams. You go right. Okay. So this half of the draw, you got a B side and an A side. Right. We're going to even it out because it's even number because everybody's got to play each other. Right. You go right. Okay. So they played 2 games at home last time. So whichever group they get put in this time, they play 3 games at home. Yeah. So next time,
I
it's not
understand what
that.
you're saying, but
It's not that
mathematically and
difficult.
logistically, that wouldn't work.
No, it would. It would.
It is.
I'll
It's
die
more
on this hill. It,
complicated than
it would
because
work.
all the teams are different.
Right. Anyway, let's move on.
Anyway,
Um, yeah. I just. But all in all, I think me and you were both where we were agreeing because obviously we can't agree on what should happen with the Nations League and what have you. But where we were agreeing is the game itself with England was boring, wasn't it?
yes, it was boring. I think there's too many. I'm gonna say something different now, Joe. I think there's not too many
He's
international
gonna do
games.
it,
There's too
ladies and
many club
gentlemen.
games. I think it's a problem at the club level. It's an issue on a club level rather than on an international level, really, about the amount of games.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. I get it. I get what you're saying. But no, I don't know. But yeah, I'm just falling out of love with international football, mate. That's the bottom line, and I know you are too. The only time I'm interested in
But
international
do
football.
you think part of that do you think part of that is because of who you're playing of because we're not playing very well at the moment, or do you think it's because you actually think that?
No, maybe it is. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it is that way. I'm I don't have all the answers, mate. Is what I'm saying to you. But yeah, I just want to know. I just want a better quality of game, is what I'm saying, really. And I think we need to look at the structure and how everything works. Hey guys, sorry about that. We had some technical issues. All good now. Um, Moving on anyway. After we had that international debate, what are we making of Leicester's manager Marty Cifuentes? What are we making of him? How has he sort of done in the opening games? From what you've seen from afar, Will, obviously I'll give my opinion later, but from the outside, what do you think?
Up until the Birmingham game, not great to be honest. Um, but I can actually see if they play like that, which, yes, they played well, but that's a good basis for them to work on because, yes, there were some shortcomings in certain elements, but they still kept a clean sheet and scored 2 goals against a good Birmingham side. So I think they'll certainly play better than that if they iron some things out. And there's no reason, points deduction um, permitting, that you won't go straight back up. But it would be a
Yeah,
very competitive league.
yeah. I mean, obviously it is a competitive league. I personally think I disagree with the statement. He's not been doing very well up until the Birmingham game. I think he's done well with what he's got. We are a club at the moment for me that's in turmoil. Um, let's be honest, we would be massively more spoken about if everything down Sheffield Wednesday wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, we've got our own PSR problems, and you get fans complaining, why haven't we made any signings? Why haven't we made any signings? I think obviously with the transfer business we've done, I'm fairly happy with. We've got Oxford. It's funny, I'm actually in Oxford at the time of the game on Saturday. So
But
we'll
you're
see
not
what happens.
going.
I'm not going. No, no. We're actually me and the missus are going away to Oxford. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, I think if we can get some win, if we can get a win there, and then push on, and then of course we've got the Dirty Sky Blues in Coventry.
That'll be a
The
tough
week.
game though, because they have started well,
Yeah,
commentary.
they have started well. They have started well. However, we are at home, and I do fancy us more at home.
Well, you know what
So
they say, this is your big game. This is your big rival, so anything can happen in the derby day.
yeah, of course, of course. I mean, I would. I think amongst a lot of Leicester fans, Coventry are our main rivals. So I think
Controversial.
it. What you said, sorry?
Very controversial. I'm
Yeah,
not sure. So,
no. Oh, but I think it's amongst a lot of Coventry fans as well. So the hatred is quite um is on both sides basically. So we'll see what happens there. But no, I'm actually very optimistic. I think Marty Cifuentes, like I say, has done very well with what he's had to do.
yeah.
And he seems like a very, very good manager. And he knows what he's doing in terms of kind of how to run the club. And what I've liked as well is if your head's not 100% in it, then you're
You're,
not playing.
yeah, and you have seen that some of your higher profile, which you didn't want to play. Like, I think you're all better for it. It's better to have a better team rather than a team of individuals, isn't it?
Yeah, no, of course it is, of course it is. Just before we finish, Will, here's a question for you. Obviously, I know we've talked about signings in the past, and everything like that. But what's your opinion on the going back to Forest? What's your opinion on the amount of signings that you've made and time it's going to take them to gel and acclimatise to the Premier League in some cases for your signings? What Just to end it on that, what's your opinion of that?
Y Yes, we did sign quite a few players, but we also sold and got rid of quite a few players. Let's add a caveat to that as well. Uh, we needed to. We needed the squad depth. That's why let us down towards the end of the last season, where we didn't have anyone to bring off the bench, really. of good quality, and B, we need that because now we're in Europe, we need a larger squad to play even more games. Um, and I think that'd be tricky and an interesting one to contend with. Yes, it will take some time to fully gel, but Forest have always particularly last season, prided themselves on having a good team cohesion and work ethic together. I think that team cohesion is really important for any team, particularly Forest with the amount of buyers they had in the changing room.
Sorry to
And I
sorry
think
to
that cohesion is just going to take them forward, hopefully.
sorry to interrupt for everyone. If you don't know this guy, we've been mates for what, about 12 years now. We will. Team
12 years too long.
cohesion. Yeah, 12 years too long. Yeah, I had far less grey hairs. But team cohesion is a saying. It was like Will's buzzword, especially when it came to his paperwork. That's for sure. Anyway, we digress. Anyway, guys,
Teamwork makes the
just want
dream
to say,
work, eh?
yeah, exactly, exactly. Just want to say thank you for watching, and like we said at the start of the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We will be putting up some clips of this podcast. But yeah, any views, anything that you've got, then please don't hesitate to comment on the video, and we will try. I think we've replied to every comment we've got so far, haven't we? Will we do a lot of shorts?
We have indeed. Yeah.
So
And I'd just
yeah,
like to say one thing before we finish as well is that Ellie Anderson, what a player.
I have to agree. Best player on the pitch against Andorra. I mean, I think I'd have been the best player on the pitch against Andorra, but yeah, we'll finish on that one. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. But yeah, comment your views and thoughts.
Come on, Forest.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. See you guys.
Bye.